Welcome to Downshift. My name is Matt and we're spending time with one of the last call editions of the Hellcat. We're going to take it out on track and then we're going to have a walk around, talk about the exterior and the interior details along with the story of the BlackGhost. So, as my new friend Moses drives, I'm going to tell you a little bit about this BlackGhost before I then get behind the wheel and try not to crash it. So under the hood we have the typical Hellcat powertrain that we've come to expect with the noises that accompany it. That means 807 horsepower and 707 pound-feet of torque. It's the same jailbreak tune that we're familiar with. This is the BlackGhost, so it is one of the last call versions of these Hellcats, one of the last muscle cars possibly of all time. So this is a super special and surreal experience that we get to be out here on track with possibly one of the last Hellcats and one of the last muscle cars ever. So 6.2 liter engine, 2.4 liter supercharger on top of that. Like I said, 807 horsepower, 707 pound-feet of torque. ZF 8-speed transmission, going to, of course, just the rear wheels. Of course, there's a limited slip differential out back helping to manage the power, as if you could wrangle 807 horsepower to just rear wheels. But helping that, we do have the wide body, which means we have 305 millimeter width tires. We do have some grip back here, but if you stab at this thing and you don't know how to roll on power, you could have a bad time and you could end up sideways, which hopefully I don't do. Oh my God! Woo! Oh, I should also mention 4,400 pounds. So we've got a lot of brakes under here too. This is a big girl. She's heavy. But she actually changes direction pretty well. I mean, I'm sure Moses could tell you better than me, but there's not as much body motion under braking, acceleration, and changing directions that I thought there would be. I thought we'd be all over the place. We're keeping traction. And this is our first lap. This is our cold tire lap.
Yeah.
I'm impressed, I gotta be honest. I didn't expect this level of chassis stability. You are a brave man through those chicane cones. Braver than myself, I'll tell you that. About to swallow up those Corolla GRs. I mean, what a sound. What a noise. Oh, we're pushing it now, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not even going to show me behind the wheel after this. This could be like the most anticlimactic thing ever. We're right on the limits of grip there. Yeah, it changes direction really well. Good stopping power. It's got to be the sound, though.
Sounds amazing.
It sounds insane. Oh! Honestly, I mean, this car could be so much worse, but with this pace and this sound, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care at all. And this is what I was telling Moses earlier. You know, doing what I do, making these videos with these new cars, you get in and out of all these new cars all the time, and they're all kind of shades of gray. And then you get into something like this. Holy shit! And it's just so unapologetically authentic. It's so refreshing, and it's so impossible not to love it. It's so big and heavy and dumb and so much fun. What a machine. We'll leave the camera roll for the last flyby on the main straight because that's where you get some of the best sounds. Okay, here you are, ladies and gentlemen. Holmes sweaty. But here's the fun part. Here's the Hellcat part of it. Oh, insane! Nice and early on the brakes. Start to get a little bit more of a feel. It feels good. It's starting to feel, yeah, predictable, a little bit lighter. Maybe because I'm just getting more comfortable with the car. Figuring out the track a little bit more with each lap. Way on the inside here. Oh, that was an ugly line.
The ugly lines are the one that lead off the track. So.
That's true. It could be uglier. It could always be uglier. Scrub up a bunch of speed for our chicane. Yeah, I do get the sense that I can feel just about in a corner where it's gonna break loose, if it's gonna break loose. Especially if you stab at the throttle. Yeah, you gotta really be careful. You gotta know what you're doing and really kind of respect the car if you're gonna drive this thing near and toward its limit. Because if you stab at all, especially if you don't have traction on, it's gonna bite you. Holy shit. Better turn in?
Yep.
Felt better. I am impressed. The grip is not as much of a factor as I thought it was going to be. This is not nearly as scary as I thought it was going to be. Still kind of terrifying, just conceptually with this much power and rear wheel drive, but on the track, once you have a lap under your belt with it, you start to kind of understand how it's going to react. It is not that scary. All right, and then we'll do cool down lap, but
yep.
we'll fly past the people and just give them a little something, because that's what they're here for. They're here for Hellcat sounds. My God. Now, one of the coolest and most compelling things about this last call, BlackGhost, is the origin story. Haggerty actually has a really cool documentary on YouTube that you can check out, but the original BlackGhost was actually a 1970 426 Challenger, or Hemi Challenger RT in triple black with the gator grain roof, as well as the 4-speed transmission, as one of 22 vehicles, and this is an homage to that. The story was that Godfrey Qualls was the owner, and he just ripped up and won every single street race on the west side of Detroit, and was coined with the nickname the Black Ghost, and that's how we end up with this. So we'll take a look on the exterior. From the exterior, it is largely a wide body Challenger in black. We've got our aggressively flared wheel arches. We do have the hood pins that are very reminiscent of the original Black Ghost, the double bubble hood, and then we have a more retro Dodge designation on the hood. Of course, we have our air intakes in our inboard LED running lights. We've got the SRT logo and Challenger. It is a very aggressive, very beefy, but a familiar look to be sure. Of course, we've got our black splitter. It doesn't have the yellow foam on it as it should, or as it should not, I should say. And then around the side here, if you do watch the Haggerty documentary, you will note that that example has black wheels. This is the more satin aluminum finish, but it does have some gray SRT brakes. We've got Challenger on the front fender, and then this is one of the cool designations. This is the gator grain or the gator finish. Again, so was Godfrey Qualls' original 1970s Black Ghost. Again, pretty typical shape. This is the last true muscle car, and it looks it. 4,400 pounds of snarling V8, but it actually is shockingly composed, as you could see on track. Classic fuel filler cap. He actually had a lockable one, which was a strange option. He didn't originally ask for that, but you won't get it here on the new Black Ghost. And of course, he did have the booty stripe in white, along with the molded in spoiler. I guess not molded in, but anyway. Again, from the back, it's very much a Challenger. See if we can open the hood. This is the funny thing about these Challengers is you have a huge, huge trunk. And I was gonna say that the opening is a bit smaller, and it is, but it is definitely a lot larger opening than you would get in something like a Mustang, and the trunk itself is a lot bigger than you would find in something like a Mustang. The thing that I don't love is the fact that you don't have any sort of like place to grab. So you end up having to grab the spoiler or, you know, somewhere on the exterior of the car to close it. And then this is where the best noises are made possibly in the world. Let's check out the interior. Don't like these door handles, I never have, but we digress. Go into wide mode, and now we're met with familiar Dodge build quality, Stellantis. This is a nice Alcantara, I will say. This is a nice padded leather, white contrast stitching. The door handle being down here is a bit odd if you're not familiar with it, or if you're looking for it and you're not familiar. The back seats, they're not huge, but they actually are large enough to fit somebody a bit under 6 foot. You can have smaller friends back here, kids, that sort of thing. So it actually isn't completely impractical. These are hilarious to me, that these are like unapologetic lazy boy seats. They're huge, cushy couch cushions. They're buckets, got SRT embossed here. They've got some kind of ribbing on the side here with an Alcantara or micro suede inner, because it's going to hold you in a little bit better than the leather would. We've got Harman Kardon speakers. Let's step inside. Oh, one thing I will mention, no sunroof in here, but you do have a suede headliner, which looks pretty nice. Close her on up. Or maybe we'll open it actually, because we're going to do this. Red start stop. I never get tired of that. Never, never, never. God, incredible. What a sound, right? Again, you can see that red key is in use, which means we have access to the full power as we were just on track. You can have a black key, which will limit things to about 500 horsepower. You can also go to your drive modes and go into Eco, which is somewhere in here, down here, and that will bring your horsepower down to about 500, so it'll keep things a little bit more in line. You don't have a fully digital gauge cluster. You have red analog for your tach and your speedo, but you do have a digital TFT in the center. No head-up display, no digital rear view mirror. Again, these aren't really things that I would expect from a Hellcat, but this thing is $101,000. Alcantara wrapped steering wheel, SRT in the middle here. I wish that these were full length, but they're not. They're just that much. So that's a little bit of a bummer, but something that you would probably get over the second that this thing starts to make any noise at all. And then here you have uConnect 4 system, which is last generation system. It doesn't have wireless CarPlay, but to be honest, the wireless CarPlay doesn't really work that well in the uConnect 5 anyway, so this is okay. It is showing its age a little bit in the graphics, but it still gives you lots of processing power and a lot of capability and customizability there. Your reverse camera, it's kind of laughable. It seems like it's covered in like an orange gel for photography, but all of your stuff here is rimmed in this kind of like faux plastic carbon fiber here for your infotainment system, and then down into your physical climate controls, volume, tuner, and then you've got your SRT button, which will bring up your performance pages. You've got launch, you can customize your line lock and that sort of thing. But yeah, more carbon fiber down here. 8-speed ZF unit for your transmission, cup holders, storage bin, and the rest of it, it's a pretty normal Challenger. So is it worth $101,000? Final thoughts. So final thoughts on the Challenger BlackGhost. This being a final edition car, and the fact that it's been out here with this powertrain, chassis, and the rest of it for so long, you're really playing on nostalgia to justify that $101,000 price tag. You could get a regular Challenger at about $69,000, or you could spend $101,000 if you're a Godfrey Qualms enthusiast. If you love the original story of the 1970 BlackGhost, this definitely plays on that nostalgia, but that's something that we've come to expect from Dodge, and to be honest, they're not apologetic about it, and neither am I. This is a super fun, super emotional driving experience, so super grateful that I got a chance to experience this thing before these things go away. You get nervous driving with people who you don't know and you don't know what their capabilities are?
Some people make me very nervous, yes.
Yes.
You know, and it's mostly just when someone's unpredictable. That's the scary part.
So they're like not anywhere near the line?
Or they just change direction down the straightaway for no apparent reason.
What?
That's a
Why?
fun one.
What? What would compel someone to do this? That's crazy. Man, this is kind of a surreal experience, genuinely. Like just being on a racetrack with a Hellcat, one of the last call editions, this much power, this much V8, the whine, the sound, the experience being being in the car with you, being so much closer to the limit of the car. This is cool.
Yeah,
this is
fun.
very, very cool. Now I want one of these, damn it. Damn it. Did you ever watch that Top Gear episode where they put a Prius on track and they followed it with an M3?
Yeah.
I kind of wonder like what the fuel economy difference would be if we put this behind one of those like GR Corollas.
Yeah.
That would be interesting. Now that's real journalism right there.
That's real world.
Me getting behind the wheel of this car and being like, oh, it's fast, it sounds good. That's not journalism. Everyone knows.
Yeah.
But the fuel economy test, Hellcat versus Corolla, that might be something.